Joining me now is lead writer at The Australian, Graham Lloyd. Graham, what's your read on the government's narrative in the lead up to its first budget on Tuesday week?
Good morning, Kieran. Well, it's getting close now, and I think that it's fair to say there's a lot of mixed messages out there. Jim Chalmers has been overseas with some of the world's financial leaders, and he's painting a pretty grim picture and on board with the advice that the best response is a responsible budget. Back home, Anthony Albanese, he's extending parental leave, staying committed to spending things that realistically were pledged during the election. At some point, those things collide. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Katie Gallagher was on today saying they're looking for cuts. Now, on balance, we're going to have to see whether the cuts are bigger than the spend, because that will be the measure of a responsible budget that Jim Chalmers has pledged.
Graham, energy prices also in the last week or so returning to the centre of the political discussion.
That's right, and there was a wake-up call this week. There was confirmation from the head of the biggest energy utilities that electricity prices expected to go up another 35% next year. Now, the worrying context is they have a very good feel for the market. They are seeing that their input costs are rising, but more significantly, they can see that negotiations for a capacity market have broken down. There's a lot of announcements of new renewable energy projects, but there's not a lot of delivery. They can see a real crunch coming, and this is something that is front and centre in political management for the next few years, and the government really needs to be alive to it.
The government's methane pledge, an aspiration, it says, not a target, but it comes as part of the US president's push for an agreement on this.
That's right, and this is another area where there's multiple things running here. Australia is getting on board with President Biden's climate agenda ahead of the next meeting in Egypt in a couple of weeks' time. But more broadly, it's been reported that this is an attack on cows and the T-bone steak. But in reality, this is a US push against gas producers. The same thing is going to play out here. The target is not cows at this point in time. The target is oil, gas and coal. And what it does, it just throws up another obstacle should there be applications for gas or coal developments. You can expect the Greens and others to very forcefully argue that the methane pledge has to be considered, and it's just another thing that's going to slow matters down.
Graham, appreciate it. See you next week.